Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Growing Orchids in Jamaica. Today I want to give you an update on some of my Dendrobium orchids that I have growing on the outdoor. So if you want to see just how these orchids look and what I have been doing with them, why don't you just stay tuned? So guys, a few months ago I did this video where I showed you how I put some of my Dendrobium orchids on the outside, and now guys, let me just show you some of what is happening here. Look at this guys, they're actually doing fairly well. As in this pot I have 3 plants, and whilst they continuously bloom, because if you notice here I have this one blooming here, and in this pot all 3 of these plants are similar in nature. But if you look right here, you'll see where they are sending out new shoots, which is an indication that they are actually acclimatizing to the condition, and that's doing pretty well. This other one here, this one too guys, this is actually a new shoot from since I planted it here, and see, it is doing pretty well. That one is not spiking as yet, but I'm sure pretty soon it will. This one here, it actually has on 2 spikes and is doing fairly well. There is a little downfall though to planting your Dendrobium orchids on the outdoor, and I'll get to that in a little while. Here's the other pot, and if you notice, yes, the pot is actually filling back up with new growth right around, and in it I have presently just 1 spike on one of the plants, and it's not yet opened. But look around the back here guys, these 2 I have on the outdoor in clay pots, and these are doing just spectacular. Yes, look at these, they are doing really pretty well guys. Let me show you them closer. Look at that. This one has on 2 spikes, and it is just oh so awesome. There is this other one at the back here. I want to get a little closer to it so that I can show you exactly what's happening here. Right, this is the rose looking one. Let me get the ID and I'll tell you in a while what it is. So that's the Dendrobium Betty Rose. I just love that plant. Look at the flower, how beautiful they are. They actually look like roses, and it's just a little different from the ones that we are accustomed to, and so I love that one. This one too, which I don't have the ID for, but it seemed to do pretty well for me guys, and it's on the outdoor and it is doing its thing and doing really well. Under here, if you notice here, there is this other one that I actually had gotten a division from a friend, and it too is doing its thing. Yes, so all in all, I realized that they don't mind being on the outdoor at all. So let me show you a better view of the Dendrobium Betty Rose right here. Ah, there it is. You'll be able to see it pretty well right here. And that's what this little area looks like. So this section, if you notice, most of the areas I really don't have a lot of blooms, but what is important is that they are all sending out new shoots, and so in a little while they all will be blooming. Oh, this one has just 1 spike too, and it just starts opening, and it's another gorgeous one. The ones that I have mounted here, they too are sending out nice new shoots, but somehow at this time I'm not having a lot of blooms. So this is my other area, which is actually under my portico. What I do here, I tend to carry the plants and I place them in these clay pots. So these plants don't really live here, or I don't really grow them here. I just take them here. So this is my Malaysian green, guys. It is just such a delicate one, and it certainly knows how to put on a nice little show. So there goes, guys. This little area here has a few that I have been displaying here, and here I have my Dendrobium pink rabbit. Yes, guys, look at that. And this pot has a number of the spin orchids in it. And so, guys, there they are. Look at this one. Let me see if I find the ID for this one. So this one just says Dendrobium JJW 518, but it's actually one of those pin orchids. And just look at that, how beautiful it is. Look at this one too, guys. Yes. Just putting on a splendid show right here. So this corner under the portico where I am presently displaying them. Okay. All right, so we did this tower together, and it is doing its thing. It's doing it slowly, but it is doing its thing. If you notice, I am seeing some new growth here. But one of the problems that we tend to have with our orchids on the outdoor, you tend to see a lot more damage to them, whether from insect or from the element in general. And so you tend to have to spray them a lot more. So that's what is happening here. We have to look out for the snails and the slugs because they tend to damage the plants when they are actually outside. And this is another pot here, which I just actually dropped a few of the Dendrobium plants in. We've been getting a lot of rain, so if you notice, my blooms are wet and some of them are a little closed up and they're just not as perfect. And it's early morning too, so the sun is not fully out on them yet. So just showing you guys some of what is happening here in terms of my Dendrobium on the outside. So I'm gonna show you again, this is what happens when they are on the outside. The blooms, if you don't spray them very often, then you get spots on your blooms. And so to prevent that, you have to spray with a fungicide consistently so that you don't have that problem. So if you notice, my blooms get damaged because they are out here and we're having a lot of rainfall. So the water, especially if it stays on them overnight, tend to damage them. So this is another section where I have been growing my Dendrobium orchids right along the wall, the front wall, facing the eastern side of my home. And this pot does pretty well. Yes, it does. If you look, you'll see a number of new growth, new shoots in there. And this one is constantly in bloom. Yes. Yes, so there goes, guys. So all in all, they're acclimatizing to being outdoor. But as I did share with you, there are some little downfall to having them outdoor. But for the most part, they grow into big specimen, they put on bountiful blooms, and they just do pretty well. So just showing you these from this angle, guys. Yes, these are really sort of under the eave. let me show you. They're under the eave, but they get all the sunlight and they get a lot of rainfall being right here. So this is what is happening with my Dendrobium orchids that I have been planting and acclimatizing to growing on the outside. And I think they like being on the outside because they really give me more bountiful blooms. Yes, they take a while to acclimatize to the condition because they are not used to the full sun, and so once they have acclimatized and you continue to treat them well, then you will get bountiful blooms from them. There is one thing I want to point out to you though, guys, because I don't want you to make the same mistake that I have been making. Have you seen, look at these pots? I have been noticing these on my plants, and I somehow start noticing them each time I use the Python 27 on the plants. Now I'm going to show you some more because I really noticed that these are some of the things that are happening to my Dendrobium orchids, and so I went and I did some further research. So these are some of my other Dendrobium orchids. This is where I keep them most of the time. So as I was saying to you, I use the Python 27 and I noticed that this is what is happening, especially to the leaves on the older canes. However, the newer canes, the ones that comes out new, they comes out really nice and nothing is wrong with them. So I decided to do a little more research on this chemical because I really notice it happening more so when I use the Python 27. And lo and behold, guys, when I did my reading, I realized that it is said that we should not use the Python 27 on Dendrobium orchids. You can use it on the others, but not on the Dendrobium orchids, because the Dendrobium orchids don't seem to like it at all. And so guys, I don't know if you have been having a similar experience, but I am not liking what is happening. And so from now on, I am not going to be using the Python 27 on my Dendrobium orchids, but I will use it on my other orchids. And as mentioned, it doesn't really happen to the newer shoots because this is a new shoot and they were all sprayed, but somehow the older leaves, those are the ones that are impacted. So I don't know. As I said, I did the reading and it did recommend that we don't use it on the Dendrobium orchids at all. So guys, I'm at the end of another one of my video, and if you enjoyed, why don't you give me a thumbs up, and so you never miss another one of my video. Please subscribe to my channel, and as we say in Jamaica, just holla back at me. This is the Orchid Duck, and I'm growing orchids right here in Manchester, Jamaica.